Welcome to Phorge Mathematics. I'm Ryan, and today's topic we're going to be going over the orders of operation PEMDAS with complex variable expressions. So whenever you have an expression, you need to simplify it and you need to follow these steps. If you don't follow these steps, you're at high risk of getting the wrong answer. And so following this rule is a foundation in simplifying all expressions, especially when you're talking about algebra. So let's hop into it.
Phorge.
Okay, so let's go over the learning objectives for this video. So by the end of this video, you will be able to state the correct order of operations and what PEMDAS stands for. Then you'll be able to evaluate a numerical expression unit PEMDAS. Sometimes you hear it said PEMDAS, step by step. You'll be simplifying algebraic expressions with variables using PEMDAS. And you identify and avoid common order of operations mistakes. So part one, why does order matter? So math is a language and it only works if everyone is speaking the same language. So if we have different ways of doing things, we're all going to get different answers, which is why we need to do it. So let's take this example, 2 plus 3 times 4. So if we just went from left to right, it would be 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, and then we bring down times 4 is equal to 20. But if we use PEMDAS, which we'll go over shortly, the correct answer is actually, we start with multiplication. So we get 3 times 4 is 12 plus 2 is equal to 14. 14 does not equal 20. So we need to follow the right order of operations to ensure that we get the correct answer. Okay, so breaking down PEMDAS. So PEMDAS is an acronym that stands for parentheses, then exponents, then multiply/divide from then left to right, and then addition/subtraction. So the very first thing you need to look at whenever you see an expression, are there any type of groupings or parentheses? So that's what anything with parentheses, square brackets, curly brackets, anything that groups it together, that's what you need to start off with first. Next is exponents. So exponents are anything that has, so to the x, also square roots. So square root is actually just x to the 1/2. So anytime you see exponents, that's what comes next. Third is multiplication and division. So they have the same priority. So that means when you get to this step, when you're looking for multiplication and division, you start from left and then work your way right. You don't just do multiplication and then multiply all the way through the expression and then come back and do division. Multiplication and division have the same priority, so if you go from left to right. So, for example, if you have 12 divided by 4 times 3, you just do 12 divided by 4 is 3 times 3 is equal to 9. You don't go 4 times 3, 12, and then 12 divided by 12 is 12. You don't do that. And then finally, the last one is addition and subtraction. So same exact thing as multiplication and division. You start from left to right, and then you add it all the way through. So if we have, for example, we have 10 minus 3 plus 2, it's just going to be 10 minus 3 is 7 plus 2, and then the final answer is also 9. Okay, so why is this important? So if you don't follow the exact steps, you're going to get an incorrect answer. So think of it like you're going to a NASCAR pit stop. If the steps said that you need to first get tires and then fuel, you can't get fuel and then tires. Order matters. You can screw up your NASCAR pit stop and you're not going to be able to get going. So key vocabulary words is grouping symbols. So that's where you're looking for the parentheses, square brackets, or curly braces. Then exponents. Then and that also includes square roots. And then you're moving down to multiplication and division, and then finally addition and subtraction. Okay. So now we're going to do PEMDAS with variables. So a variable is just a placeholder. So what it's saying is in this example, x is just a placeholder. So we have an expression, 3x squared minus 2x plus 4. So all x is saying is I'm holding the place for some number. It could be any number, but in this case, for this example, we say x is equal to 3. So how do we do that? So you have 3 times 3 squared minus 2, 3 plus 4. Okay, so now we're going to use PEMDAS. So first we're going to start with parentheses. Do we see any parentheses in our expression? Yes, we do, right here. So what does that mean? 7, 2, minus, and then we just copy the rest the same. And so next, we're going to start working on the exponents. So here we have 3. Here's the exponents. 3 squared is equal to 9 minus 2. And this 2, this is just going to be the same as multiplication, so 2 times 7. Okay, so now what's next in PEMDAS? So we just did exponents. Now we need to do multiplication / division. Do we see any multiplication? Yes, 2 times the multiplication. So 3 times 9 is 27 minus, and then 2 times 7 is 14. So finally, we're down to the very last one, which is 27 minus 14 is equal to 13. Okay, so now we're going to move down to some worked examples. So first, we have this first expression. So we're going to start with PEMDAS. I'm just going to write it off to the side here. So remember, starting off with parentheses. So we have 5 minus 2 is 3 squared Okay, now we're moving on to exponents. 3 squared is 9. We have 3 times 9, 18 divided by 2. Now, moving on to multiplication / division, moving from left to right. So 18 divided by 2 is 9, plus 3 times 9 is 27. And now finally we're left with a simple addition, 9 plus 27. Final answer is 36. All right, I'm going to write PEMDAS off the side here one more time. Okay, so now start with the parentheses. 2 plus 4 is 6. So I have 48 divided by 4 times 6. So now we're going to be moving from left to right. Do we see any exponents? No. Now we're going to move down to multiplication division, moving from left to right. 48 divided by 4 is actually just 12. And now multiply that by 6. And 12 times 6 is equal to 72. Okay, so we want to be careful here that we need to move from left to right. Just because we have 4 times 6 here doesn't mean we want to multiply that by 6, or that 4 by 6, because we need to start from left to right, so be careful for that. All right, moving down to example number 3. All right, PEMDAS off the side so we can keep track. All right. So we're going to use this expression, and we're going to use it by putting in 4 because x equals 4. So 2 right up here, so 2 times 4 squared plus 5 times 4 minus 3. Okay, do we have any parentheses? Yes, but they're actually multiplication. So, so we have 2. But do we have any exponents? Yes, we have 1. 4 squared. So we have 2 times 4 squared is 16 plus 5 times 4 minus 3. Okay, so 2. Now we need to move down to multiplication slash division because we just did exponents. So 2 times 16 is 32. 5 times 4 is 20. Sorry about that. And then minus 3. So now we're going to move from addition slash subtraction. We're going to move from left to right. 32 plus 20 is 52. And then 52 minus 3 is 49. Okay, so let's move on to the last one. And we got a warning. It's going to be a trap. So let's make sure we write out PEMDAS off to the side here to ensure we follow the correct order of operations. Okay, so we have x is equal to negative 2, so we need to plug in negative 2 everywhere we see x. So we have 3 times negative 2 plus 2, and all that raised to the second power minus negative 2. Okay, so first we need to start off with parentheses. We have parentheses, and we have negative 2 plus 2. Negative 2 plus 2 is just 0. So now we have 3 times 0 squared minus negative 2. So 0 squared is just equal to 0. 3 times 0 is 0. We have negative 2. So now this is where the trick comes. So we have what is a negative minus a negative is always like adding a positive. So what I like to do to remind myself is I just go like this, and then boom. Now I have plus 2. So 0 plus 2 is equal to positive 2. So always remember that. So substituting a negative number and subtracting a number, plug in the parentheses, work inside out, and then respect the sign rule. So that's what we did, and that's how we came up with positive 2 at the end. Okay, so let's go over some common mistakes. So multiplying before dividing. So remember, when we have PEMDAS, it's multiplication slash division going from left to right. So even if we see division ahead of multiplication going left to right, we need to make sure that we're going moving from left to right when we're on that level. Parentheses determine where the exponent applies to. So the difference between negative 3 squared and then negative 3 squared is this is negative 3 times negative 3, which is equal to 9. But then here it's negative 3, and then we have negative 9, which are not equal to each other. Okay, and then the same thing, addition before subtraction. So just because we see we need to do the same thing, multiplication slash division, move left to right anytime we see a multiplication or division, or excuse me, addition or subtraction, then we just do it there. So breaking parentheses without evaluating the inside. So let's say we have 3x plus 4 when x is equal to 5. I've seen some people go before where what they do is they'll go 3x plus 4. You cannot do that. You need to plug in the x. You get 3, 5 plus 4. And then you get 3, 9 equals 27. Okay. And then we also need to remember that fraction bars are grouping symbols. We didn't really cover that, but we'll go over it really quickly. So we have 6 plus 2 divided by 4 minus 2. So really what it's saying is 6 plus 2 is like parentheses over 4 minus 2, which is another parentheses. So what does that equal? That equals 8 over 2, which is just equal to 4. Okay, so go ahead and put your skills to the test that you just learned. Pause this video and work out these problems. All right, go ahead and pause the video, see what you have here. All right. So PEMDAS is the universal protocol for evaluating any expression, numerical or algebraic. So key things to remember is when you're evaluating at the multiplication, division, or the addition and subtraction, they're the same level, so always move from left to right. So thank you for joining us. If this helped you out, please go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe. I drop new videos every week. If you have any questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments. I read every single one. You can find us at YouTube at Phorge Mathematics, Instagram at Phorge Mathematics, on X at Phorge_math. And if you have any questions, go ahead and send me an email at phorgemath@gmail.com. Also, please feel free to check out the blog. Goes right along with what we just learned today. So thanks. See you next time.